Come on in, folks. There's some more seats over on this side. Not many, but a few. Okay, 2 or 3 right in there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, fellow residents, I want to thank you for attending our first meeting from our consultant addressing the report of the master planning. I think it appropriate that I give you a little background so that you understand where this began and how it all started. Those of us who are on the board and others in the community have suggested that we're getting close to our 20th birthday, 18 years, I think, and counting. We're beginning, we think, many think, to look a little tired. We're finding that our children, and in fact, in some cases, our grandchildren are rapidly becoming possible residents in our community. Now, that's not for Carol and I, but maybe somebody there. We recognized that the evolving lifestyle for our next and subsequent generations is rapidly changing. So we need to address that. And so the bottom line is that we felt we needed to take a fresh look at what our future might look like, what is required for HH to contemplate as we address the future. We, as you know, have a strategic planning committee that has and continues to work very hard on our future and setting that vision. So oftentimes the question arises, what's the difference between strategic planning and master planning? So I, in doing my due diligence, went up on the internet, and you can find everything you want there, you know. And so strategic planning, they suggest, is fundamentally defines where your committee is going. In other words, in my vernacular, kind of saying, what do we want to be when we grow up? The master plan fundamentally transfers these expressions into proposed capital improvements, the financing of them, the timing, what's really good for us, what's not so good. In other words, what do we want to look like when we grow up? So it's what we want to see ourselves to be and what we want to look ourselves to be. For those of you who are really interested in the whole subject of master planning, I suggest you go to an LCS document entitled, where did I put that? It's, I think, Essential Roadmaps for Senior Living Communities. And again, you can find that on the internet very quickly. So roughly 6 to 8 months ago, your board concluded that we needed an expert to help us in this regard. We sought proposals from, I think, 6 or 7 qualified experts in the arena. We interviewed 3, and ultimately we selected the gentleman and his team from whom you're about to hear today. You are today going to be hearing the preliminary report, the preliminary final. I have not seen it. The board has not seen it. None of us have seen it. And that is done purposely. Each of us are going to be hearing this for the first time. We didn't want any suggestion that in any way this board or anybody in the community has had a leg up, so to speak, and really defined what this master plan is going to look like. This is a product of the community. It's not the board's. It's, as I have said before, it has to be heard by us simultaneously. There's no filtering. There's no preliminary thoughts, no editing, nothing between what we have seen and what you're about to hear today. So when you hear it from the consultant, the board is going to hear it. And I want to make that very, very clear. So I ask each of us, listen closely, engage in a dialogue, ask questions, and hopefully get pertinent answers. I'm reminded of a quote I had used some years ago that stated that man's mind, once expanded by a new idea, never returns to its original dimensions. So in a fit of great inquiry, I said to Carol, my wife, does it work the same way for women? That was not a good question to ask. But I'm still standing, still taking nourishment, still moving along. The final report is going to be due sometime in the near future. I don't know, but I would say roughly within a month. Probably Steve will tell us. And following receipt of it, your board will address the fundamental questions. How do we implement it? What do we do? What's the money involved? All of those choices will have to be thoroughly looked at and considered. And yes, in this whole process, there will be a vote. We're not going to jump into anything that requires approval of this community on our own. We will follow the rules. So, each and every resident will have a say in this process. You will have a continuing opportunity to speak out, so do engage. It's important to us. It's important to our future. We love it here. We want to continue to call this, with pride, our community. So let's get to the report. Mr. Steve Plesko and his team is here. Please welcome Steve, and we'll give the next hour or two and ask your questions. And don't be shy, please. Steve?
Thank you. You want to take that with? Oh, yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me out today. So as Ken said, this is our preliminary report and findings. We're not done yet, but we wanted to share with you our progress to date. And again, we're always seeking your input. The master plan email is still live. I do get a few emails every day and keep sending them because I do read them as soon as they come in. So what have we done to date? So far we've finished our electronic survey that we did of the residents. It was very successful. We had almost 50% response from the community. It was great. We got thousands of comments, of individual comments too, that we've been sorting through and taking into account as we develop the master plan. And just to build on something that Ken said, we're looking at both what the community wants and needs today, but also equally looking at the next generation that's coming into Heritage Hunt. What are their needs, wants, and concerns? Because this community does have turnover, and we have to build on the strengths of the community, but also look to make sure we're staying current and staying relevant to the marketplace. With the cooperation of strategic planning, we developed the office hours program, which was very successful. We were doing that in November and December. I had a number of meetings, small informal meetings with residents, got some great feedback from folks, and learning a lot more about the community and what's important to you. And then today we're doing our update for you. So let's talk about some of our results. We think your community's at kind of a crossroads right now. As Ken said, you're getting up to your 20th birthday. Things are a little bit tired. Some things need to be updated, but the positive things are residents here and just about everybody I've met happy to be at Heritage Hunt, very proud of their community, and really like living here. Concern we had from the survey, though, was there was not some good grades on some of the facility conditions and some of the amenities, so we need to address that. Another factor is the average age in the community has increased, and that's the longevity of the first generation of folks that moved here is moving up in an age bracket, and then as folks age, they do things differently. For example, with golf, we just don't play as much golf when we get older, so that's just a factor that we have to deal with. The positive thing that we took from the survey, though, is that most residents do want to see change and do want to see improvements at the community. Also in the survey, one of the big things that came out was protecting your real estate values is your #1 priority. And close behind that is spending time with family, friends, and fitness. And incoming residents to the community expect similar things, but they're also looking for improved amenity conditions and some different amenity offerings. So our bottom line from looking at the condition of the community and where we think you should go is we need some action. doing nothing is not a viable alternative for you at Heritage Hunt. So to date, you've been marketed and known as a golf and country club community. And although there's been a lot of play on the golf course, participation within the community is low and has been declining. And as one of my team members, Larry Hirsch from Golf Property Analysts, quickly identified, a big concern we have is that folks here don't act like club owners. They act more like club customers. And that's a big concern that we have in going forward with the community. So as we move forward, we think that in marketing and positioning the community, we should maybe back away a little bit from the golf and country club image and emphasize more lifestyle, enjoyment, fulfillment, and position more as Heritage Hunt the Village, which is an active adult lifestyle community. People here are very independent. They've earned the right to have a quality lifestyle, and they've come here to have fun. I don't know how many times during my small group meetings and interactions with folks, many people have said, you know, we're coming here to live and have fun. This is not a nursing home, and we want to stay active and be doing things. So let's keep moving forward and talk about what we think needs to be done. So we've got 5 key action items for you that we think you should take on for Heritage Hunt. The first one is we think there needs to be a change to how the current clubhouse and golf operations strategy is managed. There's a serious revenue challenge with the golf and club operations. You're not making money, it's going to be difficult to make money, and it's being subsidized by all the residents. And we've seen tension where people who don't play golf are a little bit irritated that they have to subsidize golf. And people that don't use certain facilities, we have to subsidize things. Some of that comes with being in a planned community, but we do think it's a challenge and it's a long-term issue that needs to be addressed now. We also think we need to have you update and repurpose some of the existing facilities, add some new programs and a dedicated lifestyle director, or some people might say a director of fun, to keep the place lively and have lots of events and activities. Adding some new amenities, both for current residents and then incoming and prospective residents. And we're going to talk a little bit later in the presentation about that. And then, as Ken said, let's adopt the master plan and get started. Time is wasting, and you've got some money in the bank with your reserves. I think we should put those in action and get going with the process. So first I want to talk about the change in the golf and clubhouse operation strategy. So we think there's 6 alternatives to what you can do with the golf and the clubhouse operations. The first one is just business as usual. Keep going with the current model. The disadvantage of that is you're going to keep losing money and keep having to subsidize the operation. The market for outside club memberships is limited. It's a low price option today, and the restriction of not having outside club members use other facilities limits the pool of people who are interested in memberships. It's also low price. Your price for your outside club memberships is one of the lowest in the area. It's a value proposition for people who are buying it. It's not top of the market, it's not even middle of the market, it's at the lower end of the market. So our number 2 option is adjust to the market. No more cheap golf, no more cheap membership. You have to raise rates for both inside and outside members. You have to update facilities, and if you're going to attract more non-resident members, going to need to let them have access to other facilities and add some things. They need a locker room, they need a 19th hole, and they need to be able to go and have dinner anytime they want and use the other facilities. I look at it from my home situation. Love to be a member at Heritage Hunt, but if I went home and told my wife, well, here's the current program. I can golf for this much money, and I can have lunch the same day there, and isn't it great? And she'd say, well, can I come and sit at the pool? Well, no. Can I come and work out at the fitness center? No. Can we go back another day for dinner? Maybe, but I don't know. I'm not going to get that membership approved at home. So that's an issue that we've got to face. Another option is open up the gates and become a daily fee course. You'd have a little more competition at the lower end of the market. You would restrict the number of annual memberships to a very small number, but just open it up for daily play and try and fill up the course. We're doing about 33,000 rounds a year, I believe, right now. We think you could get up into the higher 30s, maybe 35 to 37,000 rounds a year. So at first it might be unprofitable, but over a few years we think it could turn a profit. Alternative number 4 is close the gates. Go private. No more outside memberships. If you want to play golf and use the club and the facilities, you have to be a resident or a guest of a resident. This is a tougher option. There would be a lot of fallout from members internally that are price sensitive, but we think that there's enough depth and interest that after a few years it could possibly be turned around and get profitable. But it's a tough option. Number 5 is sell or lease the club. It eliminates your need for future capital investments and subsidies, but the big problem is you give away control to another group, and you give up your annual revenue stream, which for golf is substantial because you're doing 33,000 rounds a year of golf, even though it's low-priced golf. A new owner would come in, would probably bring the fees and rates up to the current market, and then they would be making improvements instead of you. But again, the big trade-off is loss of control. Option number 6 would be close the course altogether, or maybe modify it dramatically where you go to a 9-hole layout would be a possible option. It would really reduce your maintenance cost, but again, you lose your golf revenues, and it would have a very negative impact on your real estate values. We also don't think it's a good option because you're doing 30,000 plus rounds of golf on the course now, so we don't think it would be a good idea to turn it into a 9-hole course. We'd also have the issues of which 9 gets, turned down and who's on which 9, and there'd be a lot of controversy about which holes would get closed. So lots of pros and cons. Tough decisions. I think from our team's viewpoint, revenue is your major challenge in the club operations. And from our observations and talking to folks, people don't have the attitude of being club owners. They are customers. So we think that our recommendation would be to look at possibly selling or leasing the club. It would result in some loss of control, but contracts can be negotiated to certain terms, and you can preserve, use of certain facilities, but it would take the day-to-day responsibilities and long-term capital investments off your plate. So after that recommendation, would like to talk a little bit about the facilities and what needs to be updated and repurposed in our viewpoint. We think this main clubhouse needs some work, needs some reorganization and updating. It needs a little more life and energy. When we look at other competitive, active adult community clubhouses, they're a little more dynamic. There's a little bit more going on in them, and they're more updated. We're 20 years old. You've got to keep updated. It's an attractive facility, but got to bring it up to market. We're very concerned about the main lobby. It's not an active space, as is in other communities. It needs to be a people space. It needs to be a place where people can go and hang out, socialize, but also for your guests and prospective residents to be very impressed and be able to learn about the community. We love the back porch on the clubhouse. We think it should be extended to connect across the back and take advantage of those great views of the mountains. That's really great value and very impressive when you come in here for the first time and see that great view. In our survey, and from what prospective residents want, you need some form of a bar lounge, and it came across very strong in the survey that people want a more casual atmosphere in the dining room. They don't want it as formal, and that's the trend and the demand that we're seeing in new communities, new active adult communities, and communities that are being remodeled is more casual, not as formal. We also think that the area between the clubhouse and the fitness center needs to be revamped. Most strong active adult communities have a central dynamic green space that's kind of the heart of the community. People want more outdoor places to gather and have activities. We think that you should move out the current golf putting surface and the little chipping area, move it over towards the range, and create what we would call the Great Lawn, and make it a focal point, more activities, and more taking advantage of those great views and making it a bigger facility so you could do bigger and more comprehensive events in that space. And we also think that this should be the heart of the community. This should be your village center. So as you think about possibly repositioning to say, maybe we're not so much a golf and country club, but we're a village, this is your village center. This is where all the activities in the community are sourced. Fitness center, no surprise. It's too small, it's too crowded, the locker rooms aren't that great, and you've only got one studio space. It needs work, it needs improvement, it needs expansion. The indoor pool doesn't look like it's been touched since the beginning of time, and it needs work. It needs to be brighter, lighter, and a little more friendly. We feel the same way about the outdoor pool. Outdoor pool needs work. It's too small. The deck area is too small. You need some shade out there and need some more deck space and some more water and a little more activity out there. And then parking, as I've observed sometimes when I've been here when there's been special events going on, there's not enough parking on both sides of the clubhouse. And I call the one side the golf side and then the other side the outdoor pool and amenity side. You need some more parking. Marsh Mansion, beautiful building, great asset for the community. Tough to renovate because it's a historic structure and it was a residence. It's really hard to organize some of the interior spaces because there's no hallways. It's a residence. The upstairs is actually a little easier because there's actually a hallway structure and you can kind of zone off the rooms. But it's so hard to get upstairs with a very steep stair or the really tiny elevator. We don't see that as a good option for resident use and would just suggest continuing with having office space up there for CMC. The thing that we really like about Marsh Mansion, though, is the real estate outside for more outdoor activities. That's really exciting to us as planners. Hunt Country Tavern, we're not big fans. We don't think it's working for you. We think there's a huge opportunity, though, to change it into what we would call a foodie experience. I've met a lot of folks here. There's the wine club, there's cooking club. There's a lot of interest in food and fine living. We think we should take advantage of that, and also it's a very attractive and important option for prospective residents. The trend is to be foodies, and we think there's an opportunity to revamp that space and make it more of a display kitchen and set it up a little bit better for special events, and then blend it out so that we can create some indoor-outdoor linkages to let activities spill out from the building onto the lawn area and create a little more activity and interest. We've got the real estate, the space sets up beautifully, and we think that's a huge opportunity. We also think the outside of Marsh Mansion could be kind of an outdoor games and gathering area. The bocce seems to work well there. Space for more bocce courts. There's space to create other kind of lawn games, formal and informal. And we also think there's an opportunity to expand the tennis facilities at Marsh Mansion, and I'll show you a little sketch of that later. As far as programs, we think you need a dedicated lifestyle director, a director of fun, someone to program and help with making sure there's always activities and that they're coordinated and they're well advertised, and that people that have new ideas for clubs are supported, and that synergies between clubs can be created. In a couple of my office hour sessions, it was great to see people from different parts of the community talk about what they do and what they're interested in, and some people didn't even know about other clubs, and it was neat to see how there can be linkages between different groups in the community. Another idea that we'd like you to consider is you need to drive participation and revenue inside of the gates. There needs to be more people using the facilities, particularly food and beverage. So one concept that we'd like to explore with you is within the current dues structure, carving out a food and beverage minimum for folks to use, and not increasing dues to create a food and beverage minimum, but just say out of your $290 or $295, Rachel help me with that, take an amount, say it's $20 a month. You've already paid for it, but now you have a credit. So we like the program because for people who haven't used the facilities, maybe it'll spur them to come out and try it. For people that use it regularly, it's like a recognition, hey, we appreciate you coming out, encourage your friends to use it. But try to get more participation. Food and beverage is hard to make profitable, so we've got to kind of think out of the box to try and stimulate some more participation in food and beverage. New amenities. What I've experienced and what your survey results have shown, walking is the #1 amenity at all master plan communities that I've ever dealt with, and it was your top amenity at Heritage Hunt for popularity and participation. So we think that should be enhanced and expanded. And then from our market study research that Dan Fulton's group did, there's 5 top priorities for incoming residents, what they would like. They want to see resort-style pools. They want to see nice fitness facilities. They want to have interaction with nature. And they would like to have experiences and events. And the biggest one is they want to have places just to hang out and socialize. Heritage Hunt has all the bones and opportunities to make all of these things happen. We've got pools, indoor and outdoor pools. We just need to enhance them. We've got a fitness center. We can fix it. Nature, you've got beautiful stream corridors, ponds, lakes here. Just maybe need a little bit of adjustment to get to them a little bit easier. Experiences and events, a director of fun and the 100+ clubs can make that happen. In places to hang out and socialize, I think we've got some ideas to help make that happen. I'll take a break for quick water. So we have more ideas. So starting with the clubhouse and the fitness center, and can everybody see this okay? Okay, let's see, check. So this goes to fixing up the lobby and creating more interest in this building. What we would do is just totally relook at this space. Right here where you have the little sitting area, we've never seen anyone sitting there. So what we would encourage is, whoops, oh, hang on, back to laser, hang on. Okay, click on the draw there. So what we would encourage there is, instead of just a sitting space, is to create a little community display space where you can highlight the activities in the community. It can be a little flexible space where if one of the clubs wants to exhibit something like art or have little presentations, it's a little community pride area where you can have a space where we can put stuff up. Or if a craft group wants to have a display, that's where it can be, and it can be rotated. And then as people come in, right away they see these are some of the things that are going on at Heritage Hunt. We've toured some of the competing facilities. Trilogy in Lake Frederick has a very nice clubhouse facility, and some of our ideas were not invented here, but we borrowed liberally from stuff that we thought worked well. Another thing that we'd suggest is in front of your information booth is also to set up an electronic kiosk where people can come in, and you may have seen them at some of the newer real estate communities, where it's an interactive screen or a display monitor where you can go up and just get information about the community, but also program it so it can be used also for the residents. Residents can come and make a reservation for dinner, or they can get information, or they can check on the weather and have an interactive, high-tech screen for the whole community to use. Takes some pressure off the folks at the information center. It can go 24/7. No one has to be there manning it. Another idea that we'd like to consider is in this little space is to create a little grab-and-go market where you can come in and get a piece of fruit or a sandwich that the clubhouse kitchen can make, or some sundries. So it's just a little convenience center for folks to come in and grab something or grab a quick coffee. We're seeing it a lot in, in new active adult communities, and you see them at hotels or motels, the newer hotel and motels where you can go and just grab something quickly. It gets people into the clubhouse, gets them using it, gets them spending money. Then we would like to take a whole new fresh look at this area. As lovely as the two stairs are, we think we think two of them is too much, and the space needs to be updated. We think you need to lose one stair and get that valuable floor space on this first floor back. We would propose that in this area, we create what's called a now and then cafe. In the mornings, it's kind of acts like your local coffee shop, and then as it progresses in the evening, it becomes a cocktail lounge. We've seen several good examples of it. Again, I'll steal the Trilogy folks' concept, and it works very, very well there for them. It's a great gathering place. People come during the day. They can hang out here in the central lobby. We would propose that it be set up sort of like a Starbucks. We'll steal from Starbucks a little bit too, where you have some informal seating, you have some counter space where you have power adapters where people can come in, plug in their laptop, check their emails, and just hang out. We would also propose that this stairway be enclosed, because any use of the downstairs area is going to throw noise right up into that space and be a conflict. So it would change the look and feel of this a bit, but we think it would be modern, and we think it would be much more friendly and allow you to have more gathering and a little more relaxed atmosphere. We took a second option, and some of these are plug and play that we could switch and use in either option. But I'm excited about a couple things in this one where we would, same concepts in this front part of the lobby. Here, instead of making this the Now and Then Cafe, we could just expand dining, still keep an informal space. Here's where I think we should connect across the outdoor balcony, get some more seating, take advantage of that great view. And then over in this part, where the Mountain View room, excuse me, we're going to blow this up and repurpose it. We would take the library here, move it over to where the boardroom is, and take about half the space and make this into a bar lounge. The thing that's interesting about this is if you don't want to see a bar lounge function front and center when you come into this lobby, it's zoned over here. It's got a door. It's not in your front line of sight as you come in. And then we would move the cards and the billiards to the other half of the Mountain View room and possibly have this where this could interconnect, and it could expand when if you had a big event in the bar lounge, it could spill over and have participation from this space. Move the meeting type functions over into this area, and possibly even look at trying to set up some internal dividers, so if you wanted to have smaller group meetings we could do that in that space. But this re-energizes, all this re-energizes the whole first floor. And we also didn't want to put any food and beverage on the lower floor because that's tough for the kitchen staff. At least with this, they're all coming out of the kitchen and it's on one level. For golfers, it's nice because they're going to either come upstairs this stair or this stair, and they're right here in the middle of activities, and they don't have to go circulating around through the whole club. If they want to come in and have a 19th hole experience, they can be right here, and it's contained. So here are a few images. We love images because this is what gives us inspiration. It's not exactly what it would look like, but these are just some concepts for you to consider. Just look and feel so you can, see what other folks are doing. This is at a project in Stafford, Virginia, where this is their Now and Then Cafe, where they've got it set up for cocktails, but in the morning it's the coffee shop. A few examples of some other type facilities, like a little grab-and-go counter. Little community display. You can have some artwork up. You can have some exhibits of crafts. We can do some different things for the electronic kiosk. We can do some wall-mounted stuff, or we can do a pedestal. And then the next thing is lockers. If you sell or lease the facility, a new owner is going to want lockers so they can do club memberships. We also think for if you don't go that way and try and reposition the golf and club operations, you're going to need lockers. It's a real deficiency in the operation for those memberships. So looking at the lower level, we've got a couple options that we looked at for trying to create locker space. In this option, if we close the stairway upstairs, we're going to get this much square footage back. And then today we've got the two vestibules on the lower level. Very, very inefficient. We would take and remodel and combine this into a small women's locker room, and then to the golf guys' pleasure, the golf operation guys, we could come in here and borrow some internal space from the cart barn and create a men's locker room. Another option is if we expand the porch over top of this space, we would look at another option where we take that floor space that we gain from closing the stairs, use this vestibule, but then come out and do an addition outside. It'll be under the balcony on both sides of this area, and have a men's locker room and a women's locker room. We could do wet areas outside the building footprint, which would be a little bit easier to install because we're not jackhammering up all the floor. Still keep this stair so that golfers could get upstairs to the 19th hole or to the other facilities upstairs, and you still have the pro shop here. So we think those are two viable options for creating locker rooms. Fitness and pool. We think it needs to be expanded. We had access to some of the older studies that were done before we started. We looked at them, but we were kind of taking our own viewpoint. And the big thing that our team discussed, and I personally feel, is that I don't think you want to go up as far as expanding the fitness facilities. Requires an elevator, so right away that's $80,000 for an elevator. And we think we could spend money better by staying on the ground, and just if we combine this with a repositioning of the Great Lawn and moving some of that cart path out a little bit, we think it can fit in on the one ground floor, just expanding on the one level. Also makes foundations easier to do and cheaper instead of carrying two floors of a building. So in this option, the red box is area that we would add to the current fitness center. There's room off the back today between here and where the tennis courts are to expand in this direction, and there's also room to expand in the west towards where the chipping and putting greens are today. So today you've got one exercise area, one studio, and these locker rooms. what we would propose in this alternative is to repurpose this exercise room into a locker room, make this a second locker room, keep this studio, keep this circulation flow here, but expand the building towards the tennis courts, and in this space, we would put some elements like spa elements, like hot tub spa elements, and then this area we've been looking at interesting options where this would be another water space where it could be set up to do exercise and special therapeutic kind of things. We've seen some interesting facilities where you have underwater equipment like underwater treadmills and underwater cycling. So you can do like a spinning class, but it's underwater. Very therapeutic, easier on the knees, a very attractive thing that we've seen in active adult communities. Then we can expand here and create a much bigger space for exercise equipment, possibly a second studio space here or here. And then an idea that we had in this corner was possibly a studio or what we would call a winter garden. It's fun to go into the pool area in the winter and warm up. After a couple weeks ago, I took a little tour of the golf course in a cart. It was pretty cold, and came back in and just walked and kind of hung out a little bit in the pool area. And we're seeing other facilities where there's just an area to hang out inside the pool area, fun to do in the winter, a lot of glass. Oops, hang on. Sorry. We can put more glass on this exposure, and just a place to come and hang out, sit after you do a workout, or just in the winter if you want to get out and get some light and some warmth, a nice place to hang out. So this is about, rough, it's about 3,000 square foot of expansion, maybe just a touch more. And we're going to refine this a little bit as we go along in our process. Another option that we looked at for the fitness and fitness area was, instead of expanding towards the tennis courts and to the west, is still expand to the west, but expand to the south here a little bit. Take the current studio space and combine it with the exercise facility and make one larger exercise facility, and then move studio space here to the front, and possibly make this a combination studio space winter garden. You get great sun exposure on this elevation, which would be nice. Then we can use this expansion space for the pool items, spa, exercise area, and then we would change the internal circulation a little bit so that you could get around to the different spaces, and then a little bit smaller locker room space. We would take the existing one in this entrance area and kind of reconfigure and combine those. So a little bit smaller, but functionally I think it still flows pretty well. So here's a few images of some of the things that we see. More studio space, some lockers, the underwater treadmills, the winter garden, and then some spa elements for that facility. Okay, clubhouse, and some more ideas. So this is an overview of just the whole complex. And then this is our outdoor amenities program, and I apologize because there's a lot on this drawing, so I'll try and illustrate it the best I can verbally. So starting here, we've got the Great Lawn. We propose to move the chipping facility over here onto the range, move the putting green over here near the first tee. We think we could create some more parking in this parking lot here. We would do an addition to the pool. We'd expand the fitness center. We would repurpose the existing tennis courts to pickleball courts. Change this third tennis court to a multi-purpose court, a small dog park, and then here a pre-function room for this ballroom, and then a little outdoor park and some new signage at this corner. Also some additional parking on this part of Heritage Hunt Drive, and I've got enlargements of these, so let me go to those. So this would be the Great Lawn area. The view from the current dining room to the mountains is what we would reorient the axis for this space. And even if we add this balcony here, the focal point is right through here where there's the gap in the trees and you can see the mountains. Your eyes are drawn to that, and it's just, for us it was a natural that this is the orientation that we should have for the Great Lawn. The grades rise up here at the end where we have the existing tree line, and what we would do is relocate the one cart path coming from 18 back here, kind of hide it behind, kind of bury it into this grade a little bit, and then use the slope to create a little amphitheater so that you could use this space for special events and activities. In this area here, we would create some outdoor gathering areas, fire pit, outdoor grilling areas, and some more seating, an outdoor chessboard here, and then expansion of the pool. We think we would add some more water, some more deck space. There's going to have to be some retaining walls because the grade jumps up here as you go to the west. Let me go back for a second. So, very interested in creating a neat space here to anchor the other end of the Great Lawn, an outdoor gathering area that could be used in all seasons, and also it has a nice overlook of the pool, and then it's easy to get into the pool. It could help service the pool if there was a special event. So here's some images of what we think that space could be, with some fire pits, outdoor fireplaces, outdoor kind of kitchen grilling area. So that's kind of what we see in this little space happening here. Be great for golf tournaments and special events. You could come there and have your outdoor grilling. It's relatively easy to service from the kitchen because it's close to that end of the complex. In the pool area, we think you need some more shade. We think you need some cabanas. We would propose doing some cabanas around the pool, more sunning space, another little focal point here where we could put some tables and chairs, or you could do a little activity area where you could have a little, yoga space there, and some different ways to use the water. Sometimes we've seen the built-in lounges or areas where you could interact with the water a little bit differently than we do today. This is an area that I'm kind of interested in from some of the hotel work that I've done in the past, is you don't have a good pre-function area for this ballroom. So in talking to the operations folks and residents, if there's a big activity in here and they need a pre-function space, they close your dining room. Well, that's not great. If you're here and you want to have dinner and there's a special event, why can't we do both? So we think that we could construct a relatively small pre-function area that could be on this end of the building here, extend the sidewalk so that you could access it from the outside directly, and then have an outdoor patio where there could be a gathering space, and expand the use of the pre-function. We think that the building addition itself should have a lot of glass and be open and have a lot of doors and windows that you could open up in the nice weather and just have kind of an indoor-outdoor space that spills out on a nice patio where you could have something like a outdoor fireplace and some tables and shade out there. This is the area north of the fitness center where the 3 tennis courts are today. And as I mentioned earlier, pickleball is, popular, and we think it's very popular with incoming residents. And I know there's interest here, but it doesn't seem right to have tennis courts with all these additional markings on it when we can do separate pickleball courts and make it a feature and make it a focal point. I apologize, I'm a little slippery on the trigger there. So we would convert the 2 existing courts to dedicated pickleball courts. and we think we could fit 4 or more regulation pickleball courts in there comfortably, and with some fencing and gating, also create a little central gazebo, kind of watering station, so you can have a place to go out there and hang out and relax when you're playing. Convert the single tennis court into a multi-purpose court where you can go shoot baskets, play volleyball, have a soccer goal. And it's not just the kids, it could be used by the kids, but it's not just the kids. I mean, adults like to go out and shoot some baskets too and have a little bit different activities, but it's nice to have some facilities that, you know, families or when the grandkids could use, they could be over here. And then finally, the dog park. We think there's a room for a little bit of a dog park here. All the data for the folks coming in, pets are very important. They're a part of the family, they're treated like royalty, and I know my dog is. So a small facility there, and it also becomes a social place too for people to come and hang out. Marsh Mansion. We're very excited about Marsh Mansion because it's got some room to do some interesting things on the outside. So this is your current layout for Marsh Mansion. The parking here is pretty constrained because the other thing we were looking for is see if we could find some more parking at Marsh Mansion. And this is a beautiful space. I mean, this works great today. Fantastic layout, works well with the historic structure. We really, really like it. But we'd like to make it bigger. We think we could do a little more with it. So here's a little plan for an overall overview plan. Don't have that many parking spaces here, but we think we could expand and add some parking along Fieldstone and Heritage Hunt Way and get you some more parking for this area. Expand the tennis courts and have 4 courts in a nice complex that I think would be a little more user-friendly to the tennis players, where they could actually have 4 courts together, and there's enough room where we could set up a little nice corridor in between the courts, have a gazebo with a watering station and some benches for people to sit and have a nice tennis layout. Would take a little bit of buffering. We still think, you know, it gets a little close to the 10 tees, but with a little bit of buffering and berming, we think that's doable. Then on this side, we think that we'd like to animate and activate this space and make this the lawn, play area, special event area, almost like a little village where you can go and hang out, have special activities that transition from the inside to the out. You know, I can envision the wine club having a demonstration in the converted Hunt Country Tavern. Spills out onto the porch into these areas where we can have additional bocce and play courts, formal gardens, and expansion of the current main lawn area. So here's a little bit of a blow-up of that. The current lawn area ends about here. We'd like to double it in size and make it bigger so you can do bigger events for inside and outside of the community. Terminate it in a pergola or an arbor so it keeps the formal feel and nature and respects the architecture of the building. In this plaza here, we like this space, but we think it needs a little more pizzazz. So we would come back in here and do some sort of a water feature, fountain, and some more stone walls and benches so it can be a nice focal point in the space, and add a little visual element and also an audio element so that there's some water going and really help animate this space. On this half that's closer to the existing residences, we would do a formal garden and a sitting area where you could come and one of the garden clubs could manage it, and just a formal area where you can sit, you could have small activities, you know, a little bit more contemplative area. And then on this half of the space, this would be a little more active. You know, build on the success of the bocce courts, refurbish them a bit, tidy them up, space to add some more other lawn games like shuffleboard or cornhole and things that are popular, and then have space just for some informal play, you know, just some flat ground where we can do some informal play, and then possibly some intergenerational type play equipment. There's some neat play equipment that's coming out now that doesn't look like your traditional play equipment, but kids and seniors and all ages seem to like to use them. So here's some images. Oh, and one other thing I didn't talk about, I'm sorry. The garden room. We would like to completely revamp the garden room and change its exterior and put doors and windows and then sliding glass doors so that the space can be kind of a flexible indoor-outdoor space. So if you're having an activity, you can open, in the nice weather, you can open it up, have a little patio here with a fire pit, and then link it with this patio where you have the Heritage Hunt Tavern, create an outdoor patio here so events here can spill out here, and then if it's a bigger event, it can spill out around the corner into that space. Again, trying to use some stuff that we already have, repurpose it, make it a little more flexible, make it a little more interesting. It's not a high dollar type of improvement, but it would make a big difference to how you use the space, in the different seasons. So here's some images of what we kind of see in this outdoor space, some outdoor fire pits, some shade areas where we can have some gathering and some outdoor furniture, and a neat water feature to kind of anchor the lawn area in that space right in front of the mansion. Some more images of kind of the look and feel that we would like to have, some formal landscape areas, some pergolas, some shade, and just kind of get some structure to the space, and make it attractive for both for the residents, special events also. These are some images that we would see for if we converted the garden room. We could make it a little patio with like an outdoor fireplace or a fire pit. And this is some examples of some of the intergenerational play equipment we've been seeing. And then kind of it's two-story, but it's kind of an image of what we see happening with if the Hunt Country Tavern had more direct access out to a patio area. You could have a gathering area out there with tables and chairs and do events out there. Okay, we're still going. If anybody needs a break, let me know. I apologize, I need a little more water. Trails and parks. So we think this is very important, particularly for new residents coming in. It's very high on their list of interests. And we think it's pretty high for the interest for folks here that we've talked to. The many times I've been here, I always see people walking, and particularly with their dogs. And we think that you have some neat opportunities to do expansions and enhancements to the trail system. So this is an overall view of the community. And we've got 3 zones that we think we could do trail improvement programs on. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but where am I? So here's where we are today. Little Bull Run Creek comes kind of through here, and then Catharpin Creek is coming on this side. You've got a good swath of Little Bull Run on your property, and then as it gets over here, it kind of comes on and off the property. Same with Catharpin Creek. There's a portion of it that's within your boundary, but some of it jumps out of it. But we think we should look at using some of those stream corridors and open space areas around the perimeter and through the property to create like a soft trail system, not paved trails because they're in RPA areas, resource protection areas, so the county's not going to allow paving. But we think you could do soft trails in some of the wetland areas, maybe create some boardwalks and little overlooks, some interpretive signage, and again, create some pathways and interesting areas for people to walk and get outside. Again, the same day I took the golf cart ride, I got off the golf cart and walked down along some of the stream corridors, and they're gorgeous. Some parts of Little Bull Run are very, very pretty. There's rock outcrops and some beautiful trees, and it'd be neat to be able to get a little closer to that feature of your property. So this is just an example of one of the blow-up areas. This is up in the north part. Here's Catharpin, where that big bend in the road is. And what we would look at is taking advantage of some of the existing sewer lines that run down in that corridor and try and work with the county to see if we can do some soft pass along those sewer corridors, because it's already graded and cleared, so it's not very expensive to go ahead and then just build a soft trail system along them. We'd have to figure out easier ways to get access down because there's quite a big drop in topo. But there's some neat areas. The stream that comes through this area is very nice. We think we could do some trails along the sewer line, and then in some areas maybe create some little side loop areas so people can go out and explore and get out in those areas that aren't being accessed or used today. And just some more images of things that we could see in some of those trails and parks. Another thing that we're looking at that we'd like to do in several locations are some pocket parks. Again, spending some time on the site and looking at some of the just small little areas that maybe people see them but maybe they don't, but that are fun just to go and hang out and take a look at. So here's a little spot we think could be a neat pocket park. This is the 18th green and Heritage Hunt Drive, and there's a little knoll here. And if you walk up on this little knoll, you have a fabulous view over this golf green and over the lake looking towards the sunset. So, just for people walking, a place to go and stop. It's a destination, or it's like, hey, meet me at the gazebo by 18 if you're walking or getting together with folks. Relatively low cost, easy to do, but fun. Creates more diversity in the trail system, and just neat places to go and take advantage of your property. There's some beautiful little spots that I think are very underutilized. Here's another little spot. I think this is 8 tee box on Fieldstone Way. There's an existing home here, and there's a little green space in here. And again, we could put a little benches, gazebo, or some the little swinging chairs that we saw in one of the illustrations. Just a small little pocket park, not high cost, but you have a fabulous view of the Gulf and then looking down this lake. Just, again, another neat little stop. So there's 3 or 4 other little spots we've seen on the property that we'd propose doing something like that. And then parking. So just parking, we know parking's an issue here at this building. We think we could add some spaces right here in the front. And then a little more difficult but possible is to add some more spaces here. Today we have, I'm going to have to refer to my notes because I don't have it totally committed to memory. But today we have, if I counted it right from Google Earth, we have 126 spaces in this parking lot and 35 in this parking lot. We think that these red additions here could add 54 spaces to this side of the house. And then today, people are parking along the side of the road anyways. To me, it's very unsightly. It doesn't look like they're supposed to be there. We would propose to formalize it and structure it so it's angle parking, so it's easy to get in and out, put in some islands with trees, landscape it so it looks like it was planned and intended to be parking. And then to me, it also reinforces that, hey, this is a special place. You're coming into the village center. If you go into some smaller towns, that's how they're set up. There's angle parking around a square or on a roadway, and we would try and mimic that and get this to feel like a village center. We think we could get another 60 spaces along here. So between, so today you have 161 spaces between the 2 existing parking lots. We could get it up to 276 spaces very easily, so that's like a 70% increase in parking if it's needed. And the way we've laid it out, it's easy to phase. It could be done in increments to see as we develop and add and update things, add parking as we need it. Similarly, for Marsh Mansion, there's only 36 spaces today at Marsh Mansion. If we use a similar concept and do some angle parking on Fieldstone and Heritage Hunt, we can add another 54 spaces to get up to 90 spaces at the Marsh Mansion. And these are some of the images and things that inspired us to think about this angle parking concept. And I want to jump back for a minute. Another concept we had is at this key intersection, we would propose putting in a roundabout. Right now, to us, it's a little engineered, and it's a little kind of too engineered for us. So we would say, let's put a traffic circle in there. It gives us an opportunity to do some landscaping, put kind of a vertical element in there to be kind of an ID point, and again, make it feel like you've arrived at a very special place. It's part of the village center. And we would propose to do the same thing by the Marsh Mansion at this intersection, is do a traffic circle. This is a long straight drive as you're coming in on Heritage Hunt, but if we have a focal point as you're driving, it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting to a special spot. I'm going to be either slowing down to park or I'm going to turn to come to the Marsh Mansion complex. So these are some of the images that kind of inspired us, where we've seen towns where you've got in their retail centers, where you've got the angled parking. Also try and use some paving patterns. We could introduce some special paving patterns in some of those intersections. Again, relatively low cost, but it makes the spot feel special. I'm arriving somewhere different than I'm just driving. Traffic circles can be attractive. You can put little vertical features in. This is one that's got a clock in it. And speaking of clock, I'm probably running out of time and interest. So the way forward. So to kind of wrap up, we think it's time to get going. Things aren't going to fix themselves, so let's get going and have some fun and generate some excitement. One thing we'd wish you would consider is just kind of a program of continuous improvement. Things need to be fixed. It's a big place. You've got a lot of stuff. But I think if you agree in concept to we need to be continually tinkering and improving this place, I think it's fun, it's exciting, and it'll keep you relevant to the market going forward into the future if you kind of adopt that philosophy. We realize that we have to be financially prudent, live within our means, but the good news is you've got some reserves. We'd like you to use those reserves. We think you get a better return economically and fun-wise by putting those reserves into action now. So here's our next steps. This is the preliminary report today. So this will be being sent electronically, since we don't want to kill too many trees, to y'all. And then our next step is we're going to have a resident open house on February 9th here in the billiards room. So all the design concepts that I've laid out today, we're going to refine those some more, and then we'd like to have the community come in, take a look at them. We're going to have members of our design team present, and what we'll do is we'll set up some illustration boards, and we just have you come in informally and talk to us. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, give us your thoughts and opinions. After that, we'll start working on our phasing plan and our budgets for all these improvements. And then what I'm going to do is lay out like a 10-year plan where we've got all the different projects, what do they cost, how do we finance them using your current reserves, and then the anticipated funds that we're getting from I'll call it the incoming resident tax, where you pay the fee. Because this year I think we had about 100 sales, I believe, in the community. So that's $340,000. So if we keep on that pace, that's a nice revenue stream. So in 10 years, that's $3.5 million that we could use, plus I think it's 1.6 is in the bank now for special projects. So right there, we got $5 million to work with. And then we're going to finish up all of our reports and everything and wrap it up, hopefully, February 23rd. And then we will do a community presentation of the overall master plan, the final results, on the 28th at 1 o'clock right here. So I've been doing enough talking. I'm open for questions and comments.
Steve, you've given us a tremendous amount to think about. I can't, I opined, I think, at the annual meeting that we're going to probably looking at $6 million. I think it's a little higher than that, but we don't know, and I'm anxious to see what it is. But nevertheless, questions, please. Come up to the microphone there, if you would. Identify yourself and offer your question.
I'm Anna van der Mullerbach, and I'm an avid tennis player. My question is, I see those 4 courts are going to be moved, or maybe moved up by Marsh Mansion. Mm-hmm. Has that been measured? Because there are 2 now, like this, and now you're going to put them side by side.
Yeah, let me flip back to that. Oops, let me get away from the echo. Let me flip back to that and show you how we're going to do it, how we would like to do it. So the current courts today are like right here. That's the current court configuration. I think I've got there you go. So what we would do is we would expand this direction and then this direction. So we'd expand the ends out and then reconfigure it, give it a new surface, something that's a little more friendly to the knees than the current surface. So kind of stretch it out. That's how we would do it.
Nancy Huss.
Just to follow up, I think, did you have a follow-up to the question?
Oh, yeah. See, when we're playing on the court over, I don't know what side would that be, on the right, furthest away from the mansion. You're almost over to that property. Mm-hmm. I assume somebody has measured it out.
Oh, yes.
Is that
there's
right?
Room. Oh, yeah. We've looked at where the property line is, and
then
there's
you'll go further towards the parking lot, the Marsh Mansion.
No, we stretch the ends.
You have to stretch the ends. Okay.
So see, do before and after. So there's before and after. So we stretch the ends out. Uh-huh. Kept the same north-south roughly alignment, which is better for.
I assume you're right, as long as you give us new courts.
Yes, ma'am.
No, tennis is, just to dwell on tennis for one more second, when we did our consumer research, tennis is important. Tennis is, when you look at the most desirable amenities in this market for active adults, tennis was, I think, number 15 of the top list. So it's important. We like, tennis is important, and there's a group that plays. And another thing, just to say in general, is that one of the strengths of Heritage Hunt is you've got a lot of different things to do. We don't want to take away anything that you have today. We think most of the stuff you have today is great. A lot of it needs to be tuned up and improved, but we're not talking about taking stuff away that you have. We want to add more things to what you have at Heritage Hunt.
Okay, question.
Nancy Huss, Culver House Court. You seem to be in favor of our putting control of the golf complex into the hands of a management company. My concern is that over time they could decide that it wasn't worth it for them and close the golf course. That's a serious concern. Actually, that's been brought up as a possibility in various discussions of the future of the community, which I think would be a disaster. How would we be able to control a management company that would then have control over the golf course, not doing something that residents would feel harmful?
Golf courses are bought and sold all the time. There are people that their business is to own golf courses. That's what they do. That's their main living and their main specialty. Selling or leasing this golf course would not be easy. Larry, our golf expert, thinks there is a market and there would be demand for someone to purchase this course or lease it, but you'd have to go through an extensive qualification process with the people that you'd be dealing with. You'd have to have a very solid agreement, do your homework on them, they do their homework on you, but it's possible to do it and still maintain some levels of control, but you are giving up ultimate control. In your zoning proffers, you have to have a golf course. So the golf course couldn't go away. So your worst case would be, like it's happening at Virginia Oaks, the golf course isn't reopening. That would be your worst day, and then you would have to put in your contract that if that situation ever happened, you would get ownership would revert back to you. The hope is that if you do your homework and find the right owner to sell to or an operator to lease to, they're going to do a good job, and because that's their business, and they're going to do a good job, and they're focused on doing that business. But one of the things that they will do is they will bring rates and facilities up to what the competitive market is, because you have deficiencies here in what is needed for a competitive golf course in this market area.
But they could not close the golf course.
You can put that in your sale contract, and you can't because we have zoning proffers that that require it to be open. You couldn't close it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other folks? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Linda Young, and I have a concern with regard to today's meeting. The fact that we're missing a large number of people who are workforce people working from 9 to 5 and should be present at this hearing, or meeting that we're having. And this was also posted on our website. Actually, last night it was posted by Mary Allman, and she too felt that, would it be possible to hold a meeting at like 7 o'clock in the evening to get more of our people out here to see the humongous changes that are being made, and also to reflect on what you posted for February 28th. The next meeting is going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's the end meeting. The design workshop is going to be on the 9th from 6 to 8 in the evening.
I saw that one, but the one underneath of it is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
Correct,
February
correct.
28th.
We're flexible. If you want to have it in the evening, we can do it in the evening.
We can work that out. Your suggestion is specifically?
I feel like the lady that advertised on the website, I mean, we have got a good showing here today,
Right.
but there's more people that this is being affected, what's taking place is affecting them as well. And when they work from 6:30 to 3:30 or 9 to 5 or 8 to 4:30, they're missing out on all of what we're hearing here today.
Okay, thank you.
think it's
Just a
important to be
reminder to everybody, this is being rebroadcast, I think 6 times. Your point, however, I think is well taken.
But also posted on that same website last night, this lady also mentions that what was presented last time on the charts, I myself saw those presentations. The detail was very hard to see. There was a color issue going on. And she mentioned this specifically as well, that maybe it could be a little bit better.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Celia LaPlaca from Fieldstone Way. Hi.
How you doing?
I see that you addressed the viability of the golf course, but I don't see anything about the restaurant and the catering facilities. Is that part of your purview? Because are we making money on the catering? And my specific complaint is we can't use this clubhouse on the weekends because they may cater. So any party that we have to have during the week. Any concert we have has to be done during the week. We can't come here, and we've been programmed not to come up here. This place is empty on the weekends. We can't even schedule games night or anything because they may get catered. So have you addressed anything about the food and beverage operation at all? Is it viable? Is it worth catering? That's a good aspect of what we should be checking out.
Well, it goes back to the basic question of why the whole club operation isn't working. It's a revenue issue. So residents within the gates are not using food and beverage facilities enough. And I don't have all the history, but my presumption is that because there was this deficit, the board and the management companies that are doing it, it's like, well, we've got to get some people from outside the gates to do special events, weddings and things, because they're going to bring in money that no one's spending today. So And that's the whole issue that also goes to the membership and owners. You know, if people in the community act like owners, they're going to use their facilities and help make them viable. There may still have to be a subsidy, but if people don't participate, then it puts more pressure on the operators, whether they be contract or an outside owner, to seek outside events to drive revenue. Because for them, it's about making money. You've got to make a profit.
I realize that, but I would have liked to have seen you tell us that we have to have outside events and they make this much money, or just like you did for the golf operation, I would like you to tell us why it's important to have that. I think that should be part of your plan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Seal. Yes, sir, Bernie?
Bernie Leach, Wrighton Ridge Lane. It's a great day to be alive and well, living in this beautiful Heritage Hunt Golf community.
You just met our mascot.
You know, it's being alive means a lot to me, and right now I'm all for improvements and change. But one thing I would like you to eliminate on that on your presentation is the roundabouts. Right now, we have an issue with some people going slightly over the 30 mile per hour, like going 55. We've got stop signs up there, and people don't let all four wheels stop. They're only letting three, and they're going through. This area up here, there's crosswalks for the people in the condos over there. They are spry, but not spry enough to get across faster than. So I would like that not to be in the presentation at all. I don't want to give anyone an excuse not to slow down or stop. No more roundabouts in the next presentation, please.
That is our, thank you, Bernie, you're our resident humorist. Bill?
I have a comment. In the time frame that you're proposing to have this done, are you going to prioritize which projects come in based on our current financial situation?
Absolutely.
And that would be part of the plan?
Yeah, what I envision for the product for that is like a spreadsheet and then a graphic that will show all the different projects, and then how much they cost kind of drops down to your bottom line, and then you've got your 1.6 here plus your 300 and change every year, and then, you know, it's almost like your little checkbook. It's like, oh, I can do this year, this year.
Okay.
And spread it out, and then try and prioritize it in a couple ways. One, to look at stuff that will help with revenue, if, you know, and then also to look at, you know, creating excitement and interest in meeting the demands of what people today want and what people incoming want.
Okay.
You know, so in my mind, right now, I mean, subject to our team working on it, I mean, fitness and pool are pretty important, because it's a hot button for the residents. It got really low scores on the survey, and it's a top item for people coming in. They want to see that.
And also in doing that, would you be able to identify which part of the project is a upgrade or maintenance of what we currently have, and what is the new additional part? Would you be able to do that?
I probably have to talk to the finance committee folks to make sure that I make an assumption, but I have to make sure that it fits the.
You're face to face with the right guy right now.
I had that suspicion.
All right, because again, that will affect funding.
Sure.
Some of it will be coming out of R&R, and some of it will be coming out of capital improvements.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, by the way, Bill has said, no problem, we got plenty of money. Isn't that right, Bill? No problem, we've got plenty of money?
Sure we do.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, sir.
Walt Nelson, the Heritage Valley Way. I've got some questions on golf.
Sure.
And I noticed your plan, I like a lot of your stuff in your plan, but one thing it doesn't have is a bar and a grill room in the lower level to support the golf operation. We've never had that over the years. That was one of the biggest lacking items that we've had at Heritage Hunt from start. And you don't have that, okay?
We
And
put
you
it up
also-
on the, we
and
put it
you
on the
also-
first floor. It's on the
What?
first, we put it on the first floor.
You have it on the first
Yeah,
floor?
let me scroll back for you.
You do. You have a bar and grill on the,
Yes,
on
sir.
the first floor.
So we've got two options. One option, this option, we would repurpose the library
Yeah?
and steal some room out of the Mountain View and make this a bar lounge. That's one option.
Right.
And then on this one, we would create what we call a now and then cafe, where in the morning it acts like a coffee shop, and then in the evening it turns into a bar lounge
That's upstairs.
upstairs. We
Is there
feel
a bar and
strongly about
grill?
keeping it on
Is
upstairs.
there a bar and grill downstairs?
No.
I think we need a bar and grill downstairs because the golfers will not come upstairs to a bar and grill. They don't do that now. A few do, but generally they don't. And we'll find that the non-residents that play golf here definitely will not come upstairs. They may use the downstairs bar and grill. Have you ever given any thought in your plan here to have an extension, a two-story extension out of the center section of our club towards the rear, to have a lounge and bar upstairs, and below that, a bar and grill?
We show a new deck, continuing the deck across on the first level.
No, I'm talking about an extension, a new construction.
That
an
was- I think
extension
that's
of the
similar
club
to the old
from the
plan.
center section out
Yeah.
with a bar and grill below and a lounge above.
One of the things that we feel strongly about is not creating more food and beverage outlets on the lower level, because it's hard to service them from the kitchen. We think if we make this
Yeah.
space attractive enough and functional enough, that golfers will come upstairs. And particularly if we use lower level. If we convert the lower level into locker rooms, so here's the pro shop today. So this is one option where we would close this stair that goes upstairs now, make this into a locker room for the women, make this into a locker room for the men, keep this stair. So I finish golf, I come back here, and I can come in this corridor, go upstairs, or I can come up the exterior stair on the deck that's now continued all the way across. There you go. You can come up this stair where it's continued all the way across, and I can come into a bar lounge here.
All right.
Okay.
Just from my observation, the people I play golf with, we find it's very difficult to come upstairs to a bar and lounge.
Well, certainly,
Okay.
certainly respect your opinion. If we're doing a good job and design it properly, hopefully it's attractive.
And the other thing is on the numbers of people that play golf. How many people do you think Heritage Hunt residents play golf?
I think our survey said only 17% or less. I think it was 16 or 17%.
Numbers of golfers.
I don't have that right at my fingertips, but
I know, because the only thing I see in your statistics is something like 200 or something like that resident annuals, and that number has dropped. But we had a few years ago, we had like well over 400 resident annuals, and of course the price was less then, and the people were younger. But I don't think we've ever really taken advantage of the number of Heritage Hunt golfers that we have here. In fact, we've discouraged play by essentially only having the resident annual, which is a walking membership. And our daily fee rates are $62 during the week and $67 on weekends. And those rates are pretty high and not competitive, and discourage our golfers from playing golf here. And I think that if we're going to get full resident participation in golf, we need to take a good look at the cost of golf here at Heritage Hunt. And there's no reason why the resident golf cost should be the same as non-resident golf cost. Think about that. Make sense?
Okay, well, thank you very much. I don't know if you're here for the presentation on the golf prices, but that'll also be included in the final report. And so please consider those thoughts too. Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Britton. I really appreciated the presentation. I like a lot of the changes that you're proposing, very much. Marsh Mansion, Clubhouse, I think they're going very much in the right direction. Now, the question I have is the interaction between your proposal of turning over possible ownership of the golf course and how that would interact with, the changes to the clubhouse and the timing of what changes we should be making to the clubhouse. They would seem to me to be intertwined, that the people who are the business interests that may be assuming ownership of the course would like to have a lot of say into what's going to be involved with the layout of the clubhouse where their members are going to be coming to for the 19th hole, whatever. Is that something that you're thinking about?
Oh, absolutely. If you went the direction of selling or leasing the clubhouse and the golf course, there'd be a whole dynamic with the potential purchaser or leaseor of how it was to be operated, what improvements would be made.
Okay.
You know, the things that we suggested are things that a new owner would probably do or want to do anyways,
Right.
because you know, this is your market. It's an active adult community. So things that they would do to improve the business would be the same as if you said, we're not going to do that and we're going to keep it ourselves and do it. They're going to do most of the same things.
So we're going to have to try to achieve some sort of balance between trying to maximize the amount of money we can get from ownership, golf memberships, along with community interest in the clubhouse. Is that what you're... But these final proposals, in a sense, if we go down that route, could easily be modified during the bargaining.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you would sit down with the potential owner or leaser and say, you know,
Right.
this is what we'd like this to feel like, you know, this is part of the deal, that if you come or lease or buy this, we expect this type of facility.
And then there'd probably be some back and forth as to who would be paying for what.
It's everything's negotiable, right? So.
But the clubhouse for the Marsh Mansion, I think those are great ideas. I mean, those seem to be pretty well independent, it seems, of the golf course, as I understand it.
Yeah, if the clubhouse and golf got carved out, the main clubhouse and golf got carved out, you could still do
Right.
most of the other programs.
Very good. I think it's excellent. I really like it.
Thank you. Just a word on the golf course. As you know, our neighbor down the street, Virginia Oaks, is a golf course that's not doing very well. They sold it to a group of private individuals, and 1 year later now, maybe a year and a half, they're contemplating its closure. It probably will close. Additionally, the 3 out of the 4 PWC courses are also going to be closing. So golf is under a lot of heat. Somebody's made a statistic that a golf course closes every 66 minutes? Hours. Okay, 3 days when every one closes. So, you know, this is a big deal. But to me, golf course is a part of the beauty of this community. I can't imagine us not keeping it in some manner. But anyway, more to discuss. Seal back.
Yes, I'm back. Another food and beverage question. I think at the beginning it said that we would like to have more casual dining as opposed to fine dining, but I don't see you recommending doing anything with the restaurant itself. You're expanding, but you're not changing the restaurant? You're not recommending that we go down?
Oh, yeah. From the survey information, there was very strong results that the residents prefer casual dining. And that would be one of our recommendations, is eventually you remodel and...
I must have missed it. So you want to expand everything, but keep it all as casual?
Yeah, and then if we did something like, if you took this option, if you put the bar lounge here, you could expand dining and you could have casual dining here. You could repurpose this into casual. Or in this scenario, if this becomes your now and then cafe, that's very informal. But even in this area, you could look at making it more casual. I mean, that's That's what the market is telling us for incoming residents, and that's what the survey of current residents showed. It was predominantly, we want casual.
So the red is what you plan to do with the lounge area that we have now and expand it. But then past that is where the regular restaurant is?
Your regular restaurant is in
Right.
here.
So
yes.
you will be recommending that we turn that into casual dining as well?
That's what the residents have asked for, and that's what the market is telling us.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tables for sale? Yes, sir.
Joe Clark, two questions or two comments. One, excellent presentation. Thank you very much for that. I have not heard in the next 4 weeks you're going to move pretty fast on getting to a final proposal, but how are you going to take any feedback from the community from today's presentation?
So today, the email, the master planner is still operational. I look at it as soon as emails come in. So if you've got a thought or comment tonight or tomorrow, send me an email. I know this is going to be rebroadcast, right?
Yeah, how many times, Yale or Rachel? How many times is it going to be rebroadcast? So it's going to be rebroadcast 5 times, and the dates and times are posted. Posted where? On the website. Thank you. Well, it's going to be on the website. Okay.
And does the website show the master plan email address?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And then our reports, our preliminary reports, we're going to be sending those to you all electronically, so I presume those can be posted on the website also.
Okay.
And then, you know, my PowerPoint from today will be on the website. We can put that on the website.
I just want to make sure
also.
we can get feedback to you from this
Oh,
group.
absolutely. And then on February 9th is our little design, you know, open house workshop. So I encourage you to come back then, because we're going to refine these a little bit.
And then as an active tennis player, there was a question of why the pickleball, is it space, or why would the pickleball move up here and tennis to the Marsh Mansion? Because it would seem you have more construction to do the way you proposed it than if you'd left the 3 tennis courts here and the 4 pickleball at the other. So how did those two get switched the way they are?
A couple reasons. One is physical constraints. When we looked at Marsh Mansion, it seemed to me a natural to just literally stretch those courts, and then you get a formal, nice setup of 4 courts all together. Because your proffers require you to have 4 tennis courts. So you've got 3 in one location and 1 in the other. My experience with planned communities is 4 seems to be the popular group. So if you get a group of people, 4 is kind of the natural increment for groups of courts. So Marsh Mansion lays out nice for that. We just stretch them out. The one end gets a little closer to Fieldstone, but we can do a retaining wall and build that out, and there's enough room from the one house to do that. And then pickleball...
As long as the 10th tee doesn't come up.
What's that?
As long as the 10th tee doesn't come up on that expanded court.
Well, we're going to add some berming and landscaping along that 10th tee is a thing we would do also to kind of make sure golfers focus, and we can try. And then pickleball is, gaining importance and in popularity, so having that as another diverse offering, and it would be relatively inexpensive to do because we've got the fencing, we've got the lighting, we just have to resurface and repaint, and you've got pickleball courts. So we're trying to be economical and reuse as much stuff as we have too, keeping an eye on the budget.
Okay, thank you. Peter?
I'm Pete Vergano, Triple Crown Loop. Wonderful piece of work, grade A on the work and the presentation. Just a little question. I'm wondering if you had comments concerning fishing and comments concerning the back gate.
The what?
The
Fishing.
back
Do you
gate.
have any comments on fishing?
Fishing.
Within HH, I presume, and on the back gate?
Oh, the back?
The back gate. I
Oh, the
presume
back
you
gate,
mean
back
is
gate.
it
I'm sorry.
appropriate
I'm
to have
sorry.
access to the community for
They're not related. They're two separate things.
Gotcha. I was going to say.
It could be.
I think we got a couple email comments and a couple comments in the survey about fishing. There were a few people that said they'd like to do that. The back gate, not too many comments. My issue with the back gate is it would be very expensive for y'all. Because of the separation, because of where it's located and the proximity of the houses there, I think it'd be very difficult to install. I think you'd have to jig the road over into the maintenance yard to get enough room to get a separation and turn around and stacking from Cat Harpin. And then you've got the operational cost of running that 24/7, or unless you did like a computerized gate. But I'm not keen on those because as much as we love technology, it always fails. So you'll have a stack of people there, and then the gate goes down, and then if it's a remote gate, then what do you do?
Very good. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Susan Britton, and my husband and I have lived here for 6 months. I found this fascinating because it really hit me how much change is needed to keep us viable. One of the things that is a pet peeve of mine is I'm a vegetarian, and you mentioned offering like a $20 credit in our assessments to encourage people to come and eat here. I can't come and eat here because if you look at the menus, the Tuesday buffets, I look at it every month because I would love to give this place my money, and I can't, other than having maybe a soup or a side salad. So I'm wondering if you're going to be looking at your offerings of the menus that are provided. I know I'm not the only vegetarian in Heritage Hunt.
We're probably not going to drill down into that level of detail, but I would say, just as an opinion, when you look at restaurants, you look at resorts and hotels, I mean, if you're not offering vegetarian or vegan offerings, you're missing a big part of the market. You go to most places now, and there's at least one entree or other things that folks can have. So, again, a smart operator of a facility is going to take that into account.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sean, are you here? That's a call out to the food and beverage manager. He heard it.
So we talked about that in the food and beverage committee, and the vegetarian and gluten-free items will be on the menu next week.
Excellent. Now, is that responsive? Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Steve, thank you very much.
Well, and I wanted to say thank you to all the people who've come out and talked to me and spent time with me. It really helps us in this process. I've had a lot of fun meeting and getting to know a lot of people, and had some great experiences. I was telling one woman here that when I was doing my little golf tour, it was a blustery day, so there wasn't much golf going on, but there was a man and a woman residents walking on the golf cart path, and just stopped by and chatted with them for about 30 minutes. They're relatively new to the community, and it was neat because I got to see what was important to them, and I appreciate people being up front with me and offering me their time because it's valuable and important. So thank you guys for participating.
Okay, thank you. One other. Yes, ma'am.
Well, the dining room that we now have was just redone not very long ago. So now you want casual. Is that going to entail a lot more money and change in what we already have in the dining room?
Changing it to casual would probably involve more remodeling and change. Is it something you do day one? Maybe not. I think when we prioritize all the little programs, maybe that's not something you do first, but down the line, it's something to consider.
Maybe we shouldn't have redone it until if we knew this was coming, wait to redo it and do it all at one time instead of now change it again. But that's my opinion.
Yep. I think hindsight is always terrific, and we're one of the questions I have, but I already answered before. We got to start hanging some numbers on this. We have no idea what the total cost is, what the breakdown is, what the funding will be. What we do know is we can't do nothing.
Absolutely.
So what I would encourage you and all residents, engage. Talk about these things. Put your best thoughts forward. put your worst thoughts forward. Let's get a dialogue going, because we've got to come to something this year, and I'd like to get it out to a vote. That's why you're all hearing this for the first time today. So think about it some more, talk about it some more, engage. This is not a slam dunk for anything. I have got no preconceived ideas, nor do I think any other board member has. We want to do the right thing for our community, so we got open ears.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Steve, again, thank you very much. We're looking forward to the final report. Safe journey home, and don't forget to stop at the stop signs. They're not...
Thank you.